Across the centuries, assassins and Templars wage a hidden war. One side fights for freedom, the other for control. The fate of humanity hangs in the balance, and that balance is shifting. Welcome to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood Diaries.
Assassin's Creed is about a grand battle between Templars and Assassins that are hidden behind the scenes of history.
The Assassins are a force dedicated to maintaining and protecting our free will. And that sets them in direct opposition to the Templars, who are all about control.
It's a very, very interesting universe where we have many levels of depth and many angles to explore.
It's a totally immersive game where you get to relive amazing experience in a strong historical context.
With Assassin's Creed, the fans are very important to us, and we know how many people are out there waiting for the next installment and are excited to see what's going to happen. So it's important on the story side that we deliver new twists, new turns, and that we continue the narrative the way we had begun.
Assassin's Creed 1, as most of people know, was set in the Third Crusades during the 12th century. Assassin's Creed 2 was set in the Renaissance. This time around, we are going to focus especially on the city of Rome itself and on the life of Ezio, the second part of his life where he decides to build a new order, which we call the Assassin's Brotherhood.
So Ezio is initially just a young guy who finds himself forced into this world that he never knew existed. He's then exposed to this war between Templars and Assassins, and then struggles and fights to find his place in things. And it just so happens to be sort of at the side of the Assassins.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is a little bit like a new season of a great TV show.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood starts off at exactly the moment that Assassin's Creed 2 ended. So, when we made Assassin's Creed 2, we understood that Ezio's story was more epic than anything we could tell with one game.
And this time around, what we wanted to give the players is the fantasy of being leader of an assassin order. And it made sense for us to put the player in that position and have that extra responsibility of not only teaching them, but also recruiting them and molding the next generation of assassins.
The player will be able to recruit new assassins, train them, and eventually send them on different types of missions.
You will see many familiar faces in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Lots of characters that you knew before in Assassin's Creed 2 will return, but not necessarily the way you expect. Now, Ezio is much older, he's wiser, and he's about to become a leader of the Assassin Order, and he'll need to prove that he truly can lead. But things aren't going to go as planned.
Ascending through the Renaissance Church, the Templars seized control of Rome and made it the heart of their hidden empire. Now its citizens live in fear and poverty, but hope will arise as a brotherhood is born.
In Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Ezio's villa is attacked and destroyed by Cesare Borgia. After Ezio's villa is destroyed, he journeys to Rome to rebuild the Assassin's Order and strike at the heart of the Templars.
Rome was completely decrepit. People were poor, people were starved, they were scared, they were being bullied all the time. Rome was not the jewel that we know today or even thought it would be at that time.
The city of Rome was truly the center of power and corruption at the time. So there's going to be a strong military presence represented by the Borgias. So Ezio is going to fight against the Borgia. He's going to bring the Renaissance back to Rome.
When you're going to want to rebuild Rome, you're going to have to deal with zones that are occupied by the Borgias. When you get rid of one of those Borgia zones or Borgia towers, you're going to be able to open more shops, open stables, people will look healthier, there's going to be less bandits.
Very subtly, we see Rome change, and the people become confident that the Borgias have less and less influence over their lives.
Rome as a city is nice because you have a bit of water, huge landmarks, variations in levels. You have hills, the 7 hills of Rome. There's the Colosseum, the Pantheon, Castel Sant'Angelo, there's the Vatican. So that's all the new stuff that you're going to see in this city.
Rome is 3 times the size of Florence. It's the biggest map that we've ever done in an Assassin's Creed game. And so it made sense for us to introduce the horse in the city. Having other NPCs on a horse will allow you to do horse against horse combat mode.
You'll be able to assassinate from horse, start a free run sequence from your horse, air assassinate a guy and take his horse, but there's a lot of cool new moves that we're adding with that play element.
Ezio now, a master assassin, will see the potential in some recruits and save them from the Borgia oppression by fighting off guard surrounding the recruit, and he will invite them to join the order.
The thing is, the player will actually have to train these guys. But through the process of the game and through the missions that you can send them on, you'll be able to upgrade them and make them even stronger. With this, the player will have some pretty kick-ass allies to help them fight the Borgia.
But you gotta be careful because they can die.
And once they're dead, they're gone forever.
As a player, you totally get to customize your own assassin. You can specialize a certain assassin with long range or another one that could help you out in hand-to-hand combat fighting along with you.
Like the coolest thing I ever saw was I was in a big fight. I called my Assassin's Guild. They came in, they took out the guys. Next thing I knew, they threw some smoke bombs, which then allowed me to finish off the guys, and then they ran off. It was brilliant. Once you see them in action, your jaw's gonna drop.
Troops march across the countryside, conquering the cities of Italia one by one. Only Ezio Auditore da Firenze stands between the Templars and his brilliant, ruthless general, Cesare, and his ambition.
In Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Ezio is facing his toughest foe ever.
Cesare Borgia is the perfect nemesis. And basically, he can do whatever he pleases.
He's got unlimited resources, being the general of the papal armies. He's really, really ruthless, and truly Ezio's biggest challenge to date.
To unite Italia, I must have every institution under my control.
He's trying to take over the whole country and unite it under the Templars.
In Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, there's Cesare, who's your main target, but he's helped by 3 generals. The Duke de Valois, he has a huge army which helps Cesare make his law in Rome. Juan Borgia, who is in charge of the money, so Cesare uses this money to wage his wars. And Micheletto, who is Cesare's personal assassin.
So we dedicated one full sequence of gameplay to learn a little bit about their backstory, how their influence is corrupting Rome and everything. So you'll get to experience the constant build-up where in the final showdown, you get to track down your final prey and kill him.
Well, it's a well-known fact that Leonardo da Vinci ends up working for Rodrigo Borgia. And one of the things that Rodrigo wants to do by taking over the world is build these fabulous war machines.
And we created whole missions around them where you have to go find the plans, destroy them, get the machine. You actually get to use it and then destroy it so that the Borgias can't use these war machines in their fight.
In AC2, we had what we call the secret locations. People really loved that, so we decided to bring them back in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. With a twist, of course, and once you find them, something interesting is going to happen.
And then there's gadgets like crossbow that I've wanted to use since AC1. Now we have it in the game with upgrades on it. There's also the parachute, which is based off one of Leo's drawing that will permit you to glide if you jump from high enough building.
Our new strategy for combat in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is to strike first and strike fast.
We wanted to reward those that really had a more aggressive approach to it.
We wanted the player to feel badass when he was performing these counter kills. So that became sort of the trademark of what the combat system is.
You may have noticed there are now enemies with guns. If you know a bit of the history of Rome and of Leonardo, those assets end up in the hands of the Borgias. So what you have is now we have enemies that are a lot more aggressive, but at the same time, Ezio is a lot faster of a fighter. The Papal Guards are basically the ultimate elite guards that we're going to have in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Their sole purpose is to kill Ezio.
They're super brutes, they're super agile, they'll sucker punch you all the time, they'll have 2 people hit you at the one time. So they have the best of all the other archetypes. So it's all about mastering not only the combo system, but also mastering your defensive strategy and your offensive strategy as well.
The coolest move I've seen is this extremely violent move with both the sword and the gun.
Once you have it in your hands, it's something unbelievable. It's really fast-paced, it's really visceral.
Basically, you get to kill somebody with a sword, and then you get to shoot his head with a gun. That's pretty violent.
A Templar army masses. A prediction of global disaster looms, and the assassins struggle to turn the tide. As time runs out, Desmond Miles searches for the path to the secret temples that can save us all.
When we decided we wanted to add multiplayer in Assassin's Creed, we wanted to make sure that, as everything else, it fits into the storyline.
The multiplayer fits basically at the current era, so 2012. It's meanwhile we follow the story of Desmond Miles. Abstergo is building an army to fight against the assassins.
Abstergo intends to create perfect assassins. So they took all the previous test subjects that had been in the Animus, they uploaded the skills from them, and now they're downloading those skills into the Templars. And you get to play as one of them, preparing to fight against the assassins.
Of course, Assassin's Creed is first and foremost Desmond Miles' story. He's basically one of the last true assassin on a genetic level that exists in the world, and he gets sucked into this millennia-long conspiracy.
Desmond's objective in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is to find the piece of Eden in Ezio's past, and then to use that apple to avert the disaster, which is coming in 2012.
My personal favorite things in the game is the VR missions. We have the Animus, and it's such a cool machine that we decided, why don't we have Rebecca code training programs for Desmond in the Animus? With that, we can teach the player really advanced moves and then use that in the game.
One thing that was super important for us when we decided to build a multiplayer portion to our game was to take the core gameplay pillars of our game.
The pillars we have translated from the single player are basically the art of the assassinations. The second pillar is the social stealth aspect. It's basically to blend with the environment. And the third pillar is all that free movement aspect of the franchise that are also translated into the multiplayer.
The multiplayer characters you're playing are uploaded memories of actual people that lived during the Renaissance. So these guys are part of the genetic material of the subjects.
On top of that, you will have the ability to customize their appearance. So the more you will progress into the game, the more you will be able to change on the characters.
Another really cool aspect is now that it's a person that you're chasing, it's a lot more unpredictable, and they're a lot smarter than any AI that you can ever make.
Once you kill the best, it's the most exciting thing.
Brotherhood will feature quite a large number of game modes. The first one is what we call the Wanted, where each player has to assassinate another player. And then you have a game mode called Alliance. In this game mode, you have teams of 2 players, and each couple of players has to kill another couple of players.
There's a million ways in which you can do cool things in a multiplayer because it's not about just killing people and the number of francs you have. It's about, earning points, and you can have top scores and just brag about it.
I think the most important thing, we had to do it smart, and we had to do it very, very deep and very well thought out. I think people will be extremely, extremely impressed with this best Assassin's Creed.